friends, dear partners, dear audience. I just want to be short, since all of us are tired and we had excellent presentations here. I do not want to prolong it more than necessary. I want to address some questions for the partners of the project. This might be somehow a repetition of essentials. For the others, it will give you some small insight to open a dealing with initial steps of digitization. Our friends from Portugal have always already mentioned the first or one of the most essential questions: what do we take out from our shelves in order to make it available for digitization? Well, this is a decisive question, actually. We have been digitizing over 20 years, and even mobile digitization we have practiced at very remote places all over Europe and in other countries beyond Europe. And we have made the experience that even at remote places, a church library, a parish library, a communal library, or a private collection, whatever it be, you have always too much material and you have to select. And selection is always a decisive, a crucial question. Since you put out one object and the other two have to leave, or a group of objects. So it depends on what you have to, what you want to do, what you find there, what are the original objectives, and so on. Our handbook will give some more detailed answers about these questions. But for sure, the question of what do we take out from our shelves is a decisive one. Well, one of the many problems we might encounter is that we do not have identifiers. It happens, it very often happens, that we are at a remote place and we have a cupboard, some shelves where we take out an object and we cannot identify it since it has no number. How to identify an object? Please, from the very beginning, it's a decisive question as well. Since you are taking a photo with your camera, with any system which you have bought or rent or so, you are taking out, you're producing a photo. And from the very moment, please make it sure that you do not, that it is not possible for anybody, from the workers or the readers or the users, to confound one single photo. Normally it's easy, you have a page number, but you have so many handwritten texts, especially in archives, they do not have a number, nothing at all. Make sure that they have an identifier. Here in this, on this picture, we do not even see a shelf number, since it doesn't exist. So sometimes we, the worker on the objects, are obliged to give a number which identifies the object. Well, in some few cases we may find curious things. It is a wooden box, just a pile of nearly 1,000 parchment fragments in this case. What do you do with it? You have a problem. Those pieces are more than 800 years old. But we have to develop a strategy of how to come up with the situation. And that's decisive. Whatever we are doing in digitization, we need a strategy. We need a purpose, we need a goal, we need a workflow, and we have, everybody from us has to develop a workflow so that we know that's the first step, the next. This prevents us from big errors, and it makes clear responsibilities, and it helps standardizing our works. And there is another aspect. Please, document what you have done. Imagine the situation. You are working as the first person to digitize in a library. You take out 25 books, let's say, and 100 you are leaving. After you, there will come another person someday trying to continue what you have started. And they shall know according to which principles you have acted. So that not the next one who will complete your work or continue your work has to start with zero and invents a completely new system. It's confusion. Right? Well, it's a wonderful example from the Ivan Basov library in Plovdiv. I visited this library some 10 years ago, and I was allowed to take some pictures, and it's one of the manuscripts. Well, here we have the question, is it necessary to do conservation works before we start digitizing? In some cases it is, actually. But in cases of books, normally it is not. Since if we do not have an envelope or a book cover, it is much easier to digitize. But we have a problem. And the problem is, and we have to be aware of the problem and that question, whenever we are digitizing a book, this normally means we are endangering the book. We have so many experiences and examples that the process of digitizing has destroyed the binding. And that's decisive in a case if it is a historical binding. Well, and then to restore a historical binding, that's costly. It's more expensive than digitization. Well, what we might find in an archive or even in libraries are valuable documents. We have to arrange them. We have to try to find out a correct order, at least for the process of work. So that's the first one, the next one, the next one. If you have a pile of paper, well, possibly they belong together in an organic series, possibly not. But if we do not document how we find it, it is difficult for another person to fix the pieces together. It's like a puzzle. Well, sometimes we find lovely documents in our collections or in archives. We have letters, we have charters, and with the letters there is some specific item and a specific object sometimes which we might document via digitization. These are the seals. That's a specific topic, but we might find them. You cannot count the many cases when you are taking out a book off the shelf, you open it and drops down a letter. It happens 100 times. 100 times. What doing with such objects? Photographies. Once I was in a monastery in Banja Luka in Bosnia, and then in the archive I saw a box. Filled to some extent with photos. Possibly these are not important photos, but possibly they are. What doing with them? Andrea, you will help us in conservation. They are experts in photography. They can. Is it necessary to do restoration works, conservation works? How to store them, even if we cannot identify the objects? What doing with them? Waiting for 10 years, they are exposed to light. After 10 years, the color is fading away, and the objects are dead. So we have to find a strategy, and to give an answer how to deal with such objects, and we will find them for sure, even at remote places where we are using mobile digitization. Well, there's a historic photo from a Croatian island. On the island of Rab, there's another monastery, Kampor, and that's a historic view of this site. from 1910, from the year 1910. So we're doing with it. Just one final example of a watermark. I'm not insisting on watermarks, but when it comes to cheap digitization, everybody here in this room could start immediately watermark imaging. It's a specific kind of taking photos of digitization, right? With the help of a handy. Everybody has a mobile phone. You need 2 mobile phones. If you have a water and you see some interesting sign in it, and a letter, for example, and it is an undated letter or so, or a piece of it, and you want to know what is the age, just have a look at the watermark, if there is one. Normally you are holding the piece of paper against the light, and then you see it. And this effect can be produced artificially with the help of a handy from the back side, or from one side, and from the other side you take a photo, then you have it. And this quality will be photoshopped, and you can make clear what it is. So this is a specific kind, but sometimes, in some cases, it might be interesting to find out via the paper quality from where the paper is and of what age it is. So, from shelf to screen, I already mentioned, I'm coming to the end, I already mentioned that we need a strategy. There are several steps. Andrea has mentioned some others, but it's similar, and everything depends on the concrete situation. Well, at the end, let me say thank you, and pass per toto, Kalina, many thanks for this project and for including us in this project as a partner. And Rosen, I do not see him here. Well, he's working, of course. Thank you for this wonderful project. I hope that we could contribute to this project. Thank you very much. And,